It is an NFC North heavyweight bout in week 1, Lambeau Field. What more could you ask for here? Locked on Packers, Locked on Lions 2025 season kicks off right now.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome inside another crossover Thursday, our first of the 2025 season. Maybe your first listening, and if that's the case, we welcome you always. I'm Peter Bukowski, host of Locked On Packers. My pal Matt Dery from Locked On Lions here. Some people are very disappointed to know he is in fact my pal Matt Dery. That's okay. Our crossover Thursday here, presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app and use code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. Matt Dery. This has changed in a remarkable way over the last week. We recorded our NFC North preview show, last Tuesday? Yeah. Last Monday. And we could just throw that in the garbage at this point now because Micah Parsons has been traded. When you saw that, I mean, be honest, what was your reaction?
I actually loved it, and I'll tell you why. I think the Dery Bukowski rivalry is as good as it gets on the Locked On Network. And I honestly think that, like, I truly look. Any Lions fan, and the Lions fans have been pretty good about this, but there are some that certainly have hit me up. You know, he can't stop the run, and I know you've brought that up on your show and everything else. But I think it adds to the drama. I think Green Bay is doing something that, because of their youth and because of their contract, something that maybe the Lions couldn't do because they've got to get Hutchinson extended. So it's hard to say, oh yeah, we're going to go and make a move for a guy making $47 million a year, or at least that's what he wanted and got from the Packers, and then pay Hutch $50. That's almost impossible.
Which he's going to have to get paid anyway now.
Right, especially with the Jared Goff number next year too that goes up. So there's a lot that in play, but I'm excited about it. I can't wait to watch this game. I think the Lions have really good tackles. I think Parsons obviously is very good off the edge, and it adds to the intrigue. And this is what you want. Don't you want to play the best when they're at the best? And
I agree.
I think it's awesome.
I'm with you. And I think that if you look at the numbers over the course of his career, I think Penei Sewell, the highest pressure game he gave up in his career is to Micah Parsons. So if you want best versus best, if you're the Packers, that's what you want for a game like this, because remember last year in Detroit, the Packers could not get pressure on Jared Goff.
No.
And if you go back to Thanksgiving 2023, one of the big reasons the Packers won that game is they forced 2 fumbles on Goff. They were able to pressure him. Rashawn Gary was outstanding in that game. And that was the difference. I think to me, that was the gap between these two teams last year, is that the Packers were a defensive player short and the Lions weren't until the end, until their whole team was hurt.
And the Lions, and I pointed this out all week on my show. I mean, the Lions really have gone into Lambeau over the last couple of years and kind of just established their will on Green Bay. It hasn't been, all right, Goff through for 400. They've gotten in the Jordan Love pick 6 last year with Joseph he was pressured on that play.
Yeah. And could barely move.
Right. In the rain, the Lions were physical, and a couple of years ago, physical. And then the Rodgers,
that Thursday night game in 2023, my God, that was an ass kicking.
It was. And the Rodgers last game too, the Lions were very, very physical in that game, in a game Green Bay had to have. And everybody said, oh, the Lions don't need to play for anything. So now, as the page turns, it adds to the story. And certainly Green Bay was very good without Parsons, and we'll see how it goes this weekend.
Can I tell you something just between you and me?
Yes.
No one's listening, right? Just us.
That's right.
It is very frustrating how good a coach Dan Campbell is, and very frustrating from a Packers perspective, just like what a genuine guy he seems to be. Like, he just is in so many ways the kind of coach every team wants to have. And I think he's under a lot of pressure this year to make this all work. And I know we're going to talk about some of the coaching stuff, but like this, if the Lions go out and win 12 games this year, I kind of feel like there's nothing else that I have question wise about Dan Campbell, because he will have answered the questions in my mind. And again, when Kevin O'Connell is already in the division and we know he's a hell of a coach, you've got Dan Campbell. If you're a Packer fan, you're hoping, please be a Ben Johnson merchant. Please be a Ben Johnson merchant. and then Ben Johnson is now in Chicago. So you're like, maybe please don't be a Ben Johnson merchant. Like, so it's this from a Packers perspective, it's very difficult because I just think he's a hell of a coach.
No, he is. And I think you're right. Some of the doubters will say, all right, as far as at least on offense, look, Aaron Glenn did a great job with the defense. He did the best job he could have done, especially last year with all of the injuries, the amount of players that had to go on IR. That the playoff game, there was nobody left on the defense, really, after Robertson got hurt and everything else. So, like, but on offense, people truly believe, you're right, the Goff, Gibbs, St. Brown, all of that was orchestrated by this maestro, and now he's, off the lakefront there in Chicago and going to be a part of this,
taking shots at Matt LaFleur.
Right. So, that's the biggest thing is Dan Campbell hiring John Morton, and how's that going to go? And how much more say will Dan have in the offense, because it's not Ben anymore. I just think they've got really good material, the Lions, and have a lot of good talent and a good quarterback. And if he's upright and getting protected, it's usually a good day for the Lions.
Well, that's the other story here, right? Like you've talked, and when we talked about this on Locked On Sports today, we talked about this in the NFC North preview. Coaching aside, this team is just a kick-ass team. Like, they're just a really good roster. And so that can insulate you against some coaching. The one place that I have concerns, we were talking about this before we came on, is that interior offensive line for Detroit, breaking in three new starters relative to last year in terms of being preferred starters. One of them's a rookie. One of them's a de facto rookie because Christian Mahogany has never, played long-term reps, never been a preferred starter before. How is that all shaking out right now?
I think so far so good. I think I guessed about a month and a half ago, and I was wrong, and I've been wrong many times, but I thought that they drafted Tate Ratledge in the second round to eventually make him the center, similar to what they did with Frank.
They tried too early, right? They tried.
They did. I think they wanted to just see. I think they had rookie mini camps and OTAs, and they're like, let's give this kid a shot at center. And I think eventually he'll be there. But for now, based on where they are, they're going for it. They're trying to win. They've got a veteran who has started games at center in both Detroit and Denver.
Yeah.
In Graham Glasgow. Let's put him there. He's familiar with Jared Goff. They've got chemistry already. And let's put Ratledge where he was very good in college.
Yeah.
The Lions got him at a good place at 57 overall at right guard, and move Mahogany to left guard. Last year, Glasgow was on the left side, and he admitted he wasn't real comfortable there. He didn't have a really good year. He also played through some injuries. So I like Mahogany. I'm very bullish on him. I think he's going to be really good.
He's powerful, man.
Yeah, he's good. Ratledge, I thought the pick was good. We haven't seen him other than a couple of series in the preseason. Glasgow's solid. But again, let's also be honest for the Lions fans that know this. I mean, Frank, you're going from one of the elite centers to solid. How big of a drop-off is that, if any?
You said it, and I've been quoting you all week, Matt, is Frank Ragnow was the MVP, according to you, of that team.
I love the guy.
You can't overstate the impact, I think, there. And no. The Packers defensively, they've had some issues with this team. And 34 points last year when they needed a stop. It was tied at the end there in the fourth quarter. Packers come all the way back in Detroit, and they need to get one stop. They couldn't get it in the 2 4th and 1s at Lambeau. And the Lions inexplicably score touchdowns on both of them.
You were furious. Yeah,
come on, 4th downs. To convert 2 4th downs like that, and not just convert them, but score on them and then get a pick six like that is enough to make the data nerds just go absolutely nuts. They're just like, that's so fluky. And I'm like, well, that's football, but also it's fluky. So it really is tricky here. I like that this is going to be guys are mostly healthy, at least as healthy as they're going to be coming into the year. There's not, crazy wind or rain in the forecast. This is going to be a Lambeau Field showdown where it's not pouring rain. It's not Jordan Love on one leg. It's going to be mano a mano. That's what you want. Like you said this at the beginning, you want to beat the best at their best. And that's what this is as close. I mean, Ali McNeil's not there. Lebo and Wazarike is not there, but this is as close as the Lions can be right now to their best.
Give me the update on Nate Hobbs, because I think that's a big key, because I really like that signing.
Yeah.
When you lose Jair, and obviously he was on the way out, but like, I don't know if he doesn't play that I think that's a big advantage for the Lions.
It is, because I think you would have seen on 3rd down, you would have seen Nate Hobbs on Amon-Ra St. Brown if he's going to be in the slot, because that's something that the Lions are just like, we'll just put St. Brown in the slot and let him cook whoever's over there. And so Nate Hobbs had surgery on his knee. It was a cleanup surgery. He said, if it were the regular season, I would not have had this. We would have just played and I'd have dealt with it. He's a really tough guy, but he has had some injuries, and now it's, he didn't practice on Wednesday. We'll see moving forward if he's able to go on Sunday. The whole premise of the surgery originally was they can do this now so that he's ready for week 1. And it seems like he might be a little bit behind on that. Now, Elton Jenkins, another injury, dealing with a back injury, but I think he's just on the veteran plan right now. Like, I think he's going to be okay. They feel good that he's going to go. And by the way, Micah Parsons dealing with a back injury. Micah Parsons is going to play. Let's be honest. We probably have already not spent enough time talking about Micah Parsons. I'm sure when we talk about matchups, we will do that coming up here on a Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions crossover Thursday. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. Well, there hasn't been a game yet. So let's go with the general manager. Brian Gutekunst delivered in a big way. He brought in Micah Parsons, arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL, and this performance was not a fluke. He's on a streak. Xavier McKinney last year, Josh Jacobs last year, Edrin Cooper in the draft last year. And just like Brian Gutekunst delivered for the Packers, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays, your Sundays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday on your order. Stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. We're back here, Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions, a crossover Thursday. I'm Peter Bukowski, Locked On Packers, Matt Dery, Locked On Lions. And Matt, I said on our squad show, I think turnovers ultimately decide this game. Are there matchups that you think for the Lions you think are particularly juicy for them to try and exploit?
Well, look, Peter, you just said it before. I mean, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is almost like the safety net in a game that might be a little bit ugly. I know everybody's excited about it. 4:25 Eastern, 3:25 Central.
13-10 game.
All of it. But let's remember something. A lot of these guys have not played.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of week 1 football last year, and I remember going, man, this is sloppy. So if there are penalties, if there are turnovers, guys dropping the ball just because they haven't been out there, because these coaches now, most of them don't play their regulars ever in the preseason. I think a guy like St. Brown is just, man, safety valve, the 3rd and 4. He catches a 5-yard pass against a first down, and then somebody misses a tackle, and boom, he's gone. Something like that, where it's just an elite player making that type of play, and having him on this team where there might be some sloppiness and there might be some missed tackles and everything else, I think could be a big factor. And if Hobbs doesn't play, I think that's a nice advantage for the Lions. Now, again, like you said earlier, will Jared Goff be able to get the ball to St. Brown? Will Jeff Hafley dial stuff up? And Lions have some communication issues, maybe just because they haven't had guys play together, Mahogany, Glasgow, and Ratledge in the middle. So a lot to digest there, but I think to watch some of the sloppiness, but if the Lions can go to some of the old reliable, I think they'll be all right.
That's why you bring Micah Parsons in, right? Like when you have a guy like Amon-Ra, it allows you to just say, our guy's better than your guy. And you saw that I'm sure you saw the cut up of St. Brown. What was it against the Dolphins? Where he just made like every catch every time, just destroying every corner. Like their corners aren't very good, but like still, those are NFL players. And he made them look so bad because he's a dude, a capital D dude. And the Packers, in terms of high-end talent, I've had this discussion. I've had this discussion with lots of Lions fans on social media, on Detroit, other properties. Like Detroit has the high-end talent. The Packers, I've said, have depth, but in a matchup of those two things, I think you'd rather have the guys. You'd rather have that one player who can change the game for you. That's why you go get Micah Parsons. I'm looking at it sort of on the other side, and that is you revamp secondary with this cornerback room. I like the DJ Reed signing a lot, but new defensive coordinator coming in. Are we going to see the same sort of Aaron Glenn? We're going to play a bunch of man coverage and blitz the crap out of the Packers. Like, what do you think we expect to see there? Because that's a little bit of an unknown here.
I mean, I think Calvin Shepard will do a lot of things that Aaron Glenn did because that was his mentor. And yes, it worked. I don't think there's going to be as much man as maybe they did a year ago, although they have a lot of faith and confidence in Terrion Arnold and Kelvin Shepard said earlier this week he loves the progress that Arnold's making. I'm just concerned
I
about.
don't think Arnold's a man corner. I think he's his own corner.
Well, I think you're going to find. I think they'll know more after year 2. I think he did well enough last year as a rookie, and especially with everybody that got hurt. And it's like you're the last guy standing, especially in the Commanders game. But Josh Jacobs running the football is really good, and if Jenkins plays, how's the rookie Tyleik Williams going to do? No one's talking about him. He was taken in the first round. He's a solid player, but they expected it to be DJ Reader and Onwuzurike, and later in the year, DJ Reader, McNeil, Onwuzurike, and Williams. Now you're asking the rookie play his first game on the road, and with the just some depth issues in the middle of the defensive line. I think the edges are going to be fine. Everybody's so concerned about the edge opposite of Hutchinson, but I'm concerned about Josh Jacobs getting loose a little bit, just based on.
Yeah, you texted me like a month ago, and you were like week one when the Onwuzurike news broke. You were like, week 1, I'm worried about this run defense for Detroit, and so. They also lost their defensive line coach, who was a big part of their development plan there. I think it really helped guys like Aiden Hutchinson. And so we'll see what that looks like. For the first time, I think in a year or two, at least, I'm wondering what kind of evolution this offense for the Packers is going to take, because you bring in Matthew Golden. I think they're going to want to get him the ball right away, but they were a very run heavy team last year. And I don't think they want to be as run heavy as they were. So how do they balance that? What new wrinkles are you going to see? The shotgun stuff, they did more of it. They did more shotgun passing last year, but now all that, single wing craziness. Jordan Love was pretty healthy in that second game, and the Packers put up, 30 plus points on that Lions defense. I know a banged up Lions defense, but I'm wondering, are there going to be opportunities for them attack those corners outside the numbers? We saw them with man coverage. Christian Watson was the guy. Matt LaFleur loves to attack man coverage with speed. Like Matthew Golden, to me, feels like if he is the kind of guy that the Packers believe he is and have seen in camp, he makes a couple big plays every day, Matt. And we have not seen a rookie like this in Green Bay that I can remember
ever.
Yeah, really. I mean, training camp, the amount of hype, I don't think is just a product of the world we live in now. The Packers have been trying to tamp it down a little bit. They're not going to do the hey, Micah Buka is going to be a Hall of Famer like they are in Tampa. But they think this kid can be so special, and Matt LaFleur beats man coverage with speed. So I think you're going to see a lot of Matthew Golden. Can DJ Reed run with him? Can Terrion Arnold run with him? What are you getting from those safeties? What are the changes in the new defense? Like that to me is something I'm really fascinated to see.
Well, you just said it. Let's say Reed slips and falls. Let's say Arnold grabs a little. The guys on that back end, in Kirby Joseph, who's
they have to be the erasers,
who's been a Packer killer, and Brian Branch are so good.
Yeah.
And look, I still think you've got to get pressure. And if Aiden Hutchinson is healthy, and I think he's going to be, and that's another thing, Micah Parsons' arrival means Aiden Hutchinson's getting more money. So Hutch may look at this and go, oh, they're going to be talking about number 1 the whole broadcast. Remember me? So that could be good for Detroit. But in this game, at least, I don't know how good it's going to be for ownership when his agent calls up and says, oh yeah, that extension, we want 55 now. You never know. But seeing how healthy he's going to be will also be huge for them. Because like you said, in that second game,
I was going to ask you about that
at Ford Field, Jordan Love really had a lot of time to throw. And that game without Hutchinson was such a shootout.
The best game, the best throw I think Jordan Love made, the best play he made of the season last year was the play where there's a free runner in his face. He sidesteps it, steps up, and hits Christian Watson coming across the field into a keyhole. And Christian Watson's not going to play. Like, he's on PUP. Christian Watson has been the lion killer
Stunning.
in Detroit. Yeah, he's hurt often, but he's been the lion killer in Detroit the last 2 years. And so without him, what is the plan to attack this team? Not knowing how much man coverage they're going to play, not knowing everything. I think that there's a lot of unknowns here for both of these teams. How are the Packers going to deploy Micah Parsons? How are they going to use Matthew Golden? More than I think in the last few years. There's some of those kinds of questions. We'll get into the keys that will ultimately decide this game next as our Locked On Packers, Locked On Lions crossover pushes forward. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who drive to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive, and that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail, like a Matt LaFleur game plan. As athletes focus on every detail, Mazda does the same, from metallic accents to hand-stitched Napa leather. Ooh, I do like that Napa leather. Whether it's a quick drive to practice or a weekend road trip, Mazda makes even everyday drives feel special. It's the small details that make the big plays, and just like there's more to every player, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's Crossover Thursday also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season almost here. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Packers, currently 2.5-point favorites, according to our friends at FanDuel. Micah Parsons moved that line 1.5 points. It was Packers -1, although the Lions opened as the favorites. So that's interesting. I actually think 2.5 might be a little too much. 1.5 is the home field advantage now. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Locked on Packers, Locked on Lions, a crossover Thursday. Peter Bukowski here with Matt Dery. Matt, I said turnovers, I think, are the key to this game. You mentioned week one, often very sloppy. I think we might be a little underwhelmed with the way that this game looks aesthetically.
Yeah.
What is your key to victory here?
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, turnovers is always a key, but you're right. In a game like this where guys haven't played, it's basically been joint practices for the Lions regulars, and that's been it. There hasn't really been the normal crowd in the stands. Go for it and do your thing.
You mean Isaac Tislaw's not going to be the number one receiver this year?
Pete, keep your mouth shut. No, I wasn't going to bring up Isaac, but you just did. Wait till Packer fans get a load of number 18 because he's going to light you up. Okay. But anyway, so he is actually going to play a lot. He's going to play a lot more than people thought. I mean, they took Tim Patrick and shipped him to Jacksonville, and that was Brad Holmes's project last year. They loved him, and they're making room for number 18. But I digress. I think penalties, the Lions were sloppy in the preseason. And again, they played an extra game. They had the Hall of Fame game, tons of penalties. It was a lot of the third and fourth stringers, but does that carry over? Are guys going to be sharp and not hold and not grab? And if it turns into a flag heavy game and the Packers get some field position and they're at home with the crowd, it's like the Lions have to play a cleaner game than they've shown, at least during this preseason. I think that's a key. And I mentioned before about the middle of that, the interior of that defensive line. If a guy like Tyreek Williams is a little bit overwhelmed in his first game, there's not depth there, and guys like O'Connor and others come in and struggle. Will Jack Campbell come up from that middle linebacker spot and make some big tackles, some big plays to bring some guys down short of the sticks? He has been hyped up as a guy that is ready to make that next step and might have to in a game like this. So what are you looking at?
Well, I mean, aside from the turnovers, I think for this, it's protecting Jordan Love. And even when the Lions in the first half, remember the first half in Detroit when it was like guys, the average fan had never even heard of getting pressures up the middle when they're having to pull guys off the street and they're still able to win. Like Elton Jenkins gets beat one-on-one by a backup to the backup defensive lineman. And it's just sort of like that kind of stuff can happen. If you're the Packers, it has to. If you can protect Jordan Love in a game like this, I think there will be opportunities, especially in the middle of the field. Those linebackers, I think that there's some opportunities there. That's where they got Detroit last year, and I think Tucker Kraft can be a big part of all of that. You mentioned the penalties. Both of these teams were in the upper half last year in penalties, so the Packers in the preseason penalties were a big problem as well. Now Anthony Belton, I think, had 5 in one of the games. He's not going to play, you hope. So, maybe they can mitigate that a little bit just by having your regular guys out there. But you mentioned it, the Packers didn't have all their guys in a lot of these games either. Jordan Love was hurt for 2 weeks and did not get reps with Matthew Golden, did not get reps with Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed dealing with a foot injury that was reported as a Jones fracture. I don't think was a Jones fracture. That doesn't make any sense to me. 3 weeks, you can't be out 3 weeks with a Jones fracture. That's a 3-month injury. So, and we don't really have good information on that. So I feel like for the Packers to win, protect Jordan Love, win the turnover battle, and they'll win. You hope Micah Parsons is the catalyst for that, to create a turnover or two And I think that could be enough.
Can we get a Quay Walker unnecessary roughness call or unsportsmanlike?
I'd rather not. I mean, you might.
There's usually one of those every few weeks.
Well, guys, we got remember too. Like guys are tired. Like your football shape versus football shape, right? Like this is now. Training camp is one thing. Now at a game, and guys are tired, and it's not going to be really hot. Like this is not in Miami. That's those early games down in the South can be brutal. It's supposed to be a pleasant day. Like you're going to get a nice day, but yeah, guys are going to be tired. And that's when mental mistakes happen. That's when you blow an assignment. That's when you slip and miss a tackle. That's when you have the ball go right through your hands and into the waiting arms of a defender. You have to be the team. And that's, again, one of the annoying things about a Dan Campbell team is you're going to make more mistakes than them probably, because that's just the way that they operate. Except unless it's Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph with a tackle below someone's knees.
Oh, here we go. That was the Branch ejection was stupid last year. I'll give you the Kirby Joseph low hit 2 years ago. I'll give you that. Look at your face. You come on.
If you're not watching on YouTube, I don't know. You're missing out. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I thought penalty, but an ejection, ridiculous. So we can.
Well, okay. Even if I agree with you, I think they do in general. They need to start kicking these guys out for dangerous hits. I think that's the only way you're going to get that stuff out. And everyone said, Matt, you can't officiate away the dangerous hits. Guess what? They proved that you can, because they started throwing guys out and they started making it a 15-yard penalty for some of these things. And guess what? Guys stopped doing it. They are special athletes when it comes to these things. They can make this work. That's why it's frustrating when you see guys not taking care of each other. I think that's just one of those things. Look, I'm not going to come on here and call Kirby Joseph a dirty player. That's what the NFL players are saying. I don't have to say that. So
look, and I'll make a statement. I have said that he got screwed out of the Pro Bowl last year and never really said that. You're right. There are plenty of players around the league, including Matthew Stafford, who was mic'd up saying it during the playoff game last year that he was a dirty player. So that reputation carries, but dude got paid. He's highest paid safety in the league. And he was all pro. He's a damn good player.
He has Xavier McKinney to thank, at least in part, for that. Xavier McKinney up the ante, then Antoine Winfield up the ante on him. Kyle Hamilton, Kirby Joseph. That safety market is exploding. All right, Matt, give me your prediction.
All right, so here's what I was going to do. I was going to pick Green Bay prior to the Parsons signing. I'm going to play a little weird game with you. I just figured they're at home. Lions have won their 3 years in a row. The Lions went 20 some odd years without winning there.
They sure
did.
They're
or Milwaukee for that matter. And then now they've won 3 in a row. Aren't they kind of just due to lose? But now I think this underdog role that the Lions have.
Oh, no.
I'm telling you, all the national pundits are like, I'm on the Packer bandwagon. Green Bay's going to win the division. Now they got Parsons.
Right. Dan Campbell's
going
to eat that up.
I had Ross Tucker on my show picking Green Bay.
I hate that you're right about that part of it. The narrative part.
I'm playing the Dan Campbell fire him up card, which he claims he's not going to do. But I know.
Come on. Of course he's going to do it.
Now you have to. I mean, I don't know if he's, going to play a bunch of video clips that they'll put together of certain, Chris Broussard, but hey, I think a Jake Bates late field goal wins.
Games from some footage from any game in the early 2000s or late 90s. Maybe that's what he'll do. But I'm Packers winning 38-13 all the time, right. And then that'll be enough.
No, I'm going 21-20 on a Bates field goal. Maybe not the gun, but pretty late in the game. I think there are going to be some sloppy moments.
See, I wanted one of those like 2011 Packers Saints 38-35 kind of games. I just don't think early in the season it's fair to expect either of these offenses to be humming at that level. I think what we're going to get is a back and forth game. I think this is going to be haymakers. I think this is going to be the Lions trying to give the Packers their best shot. But what I think early season games often come down to is who needs it more. And I think the Packers need it more. As you said, they have been the little brother of the Dan Campbell Detroit Lions, which is just a wild for people. You and I are old enough to remember that has like not ever happened in our lifetime until now. And so I think Matt LaFleur is sick and tired of losing to Dan Campbell. I think this Packers team is sick and tired of losing to this Detroit Lions team. And I think they come out and play a confident, inspired, and focused. I've seen a focus in this team, Matt, that I have not seen over the last 2 years. I think they got a little bit humbled last year. They expected to come in and I think just walk through the league, and they did not bring the level of detail and focus to the big games that they needed to. I think they learned their lesson. They got Micah Parsons. I think I have 27-21. So very similar Lions score. I think the Packers get one extra score to push them over the top. And maybe it is a last second. I said, wouldn't it be fun? I had Bob Sturm on my show from Dallas. He said, Micah Parsons can be the best closer in the NFL. Wouldn't it be fun? The Packers needed one stop to beat the Lions last year to give Jordan Love a shot to win it in Detroit. Couldn't get it. They get the one stop at the end of this game to give Jordan Love the chance. He goes down the field, wins it. It's Micah Parsons. It's Jordan Love. That's the proof of concept for the Packers Super Bowl. That sounds good to me.
I'm not going to disagree with you on who needs it, because what if, and I said this to Trey Wingo on the show yesterday, I mean, what if the Lions won again there? Is that a statement and a giant balloon burster for the Packers to go, we lost to them again?
Traded for Micah Parsons and lost to them again. It would be a devastating loss. And I think that's why in these games,
week one, Pete, you still got to play 16 more, but still, I think this is
just psychologically, it would be tough. Like they're coming out going, we couldn't play well in big games last year. We know we're good. It would be a confidence blow to have that's why I think it just, sometimes the games are just that simple. Who needs it more? And the answer to me unequivocally is the Packers. All right. We'll be out here after the game on Sunday. I'll be live after the game. Then we got the squad show, a ton of time. Matt is always killing it. We appreciate it, Matt. Locked on Packers, Locked on Lions. Go subscribe wherever you get podcasts. We will talk to you very soon. Stay locked on Packers, Locked on Lions.